It's time again for another installment of the basics, and on this show I want to get back to the Star Trek CCG. And today's episode features me telling you about often underused cards that should be in decks, but a lot of people bypass them. Now, when some of these cards first came out, people did use them, but in later days they often get ignored for other cards that came out in late sets or some of those printable sets that are on the internet. So I'm going to take you through a small selection of these cards that work with any affiliation that you should have a couple of in your deck. Now, let me just start by saying that these cards I'm going to show you pretty much work with any affiliation, no matter if you're using anything from Federation through Klingon, Borg, Ferengi, even the Dominion Cardassians, and some of the affiliations I haven't even pictured here. The first one is a no-brainer, is the neutral Outpost that came out in the Alternate Universe set. And a lot of people disregard this Outpost, but Shields of 24, you can seed one at any space location, or you can build later at a space location where any engineer is present. You can't get any repairs, but you can have an Outpost. To be fair, this card is perfect for your Q's Tent side deck. I have one in mind. Believe it or not, this Outpost does come in handy. Where no one has gone before, an event card from the Premier. Plays on table, allows all of your ships to leave one end of the space line and enter the other end. That can get you out of problems very quickly, and when the game first came out, a lot of us used these, but for some reason, not many people use them now, and I've talked with a group of friends who still play house games, and they've taken a lot of them out of their decks. I keep them. Another event card, Temporal Investigations, plays on table once every turn. If opponent reports an alternate universe or futuristic or past personnel or ship to Alpha Quadrant spaceline, you may draw one card or download Luxley and or Dulmer. Personally, I wouldn't download that card, but to draw an extra card, especially if you can use one at that time, is huge. An interrupt, scan, cycle, check. Plays on your transporter skill. Your ship's there decloak, dephase while that personnel operates transporters, then recloak, rephase, or nullify scan or full planet scan. And that's where I've used this card. Is if your opponent has several scan or full planet scan, you throw this out, boom, it's gone. You don't have to reveal what's on the top of your library or in your hand, which can be huge depending on what you're trying to do to him. Another interrupt, Davidian Foragers, look through any one discard pile and place two personnel out of play. Add their attribute numbers to one of your alternate universe icon personnel for this turn. Huge card. I remember when this came out, a lot of us used it, and then for some reason, as the 90s progressed and more sets came out, a lot of my friends, sorry Josh, I gotta keep burning you, took it out of their decks and replaced it. And to be fair, I'm one to talk because I've also taken them out of my decks, but I'm going to be putting them back in soon. But remember, you need either an alternate universe door or a space-time door present to make it work. This is a no-brainer. Universal mission, explore interstellar matter. Easy 25 points once you get past any dilemmas. Science plus either astrophysics or stellar cartography. Very easy mission. Another interrupt, Isabella, plays on any non-Borg ship at a nebula. It is destroyed unless youth aboard by end of your next turn, or kill any one greed personnel who just exploited a worshipper. How many people do you know, depending on the affiliation they're playing, actually have anyone with youth in their decks? That is one of the most overlooked attributes in the game. This card can be huge. One of my favorite cards that doesn't get a lot of love, and I have it in two of my decks, but only two, Black Hole. Plays between two adjacent universal space missions. Creates a location with a span of one. At end of every turn, pulls in, destroys all other cards here. Think about it. You can keep your opponent busy with this while you're doing other things, especially if he's nearby. You got to contend with that. Imagine someone throws a Q-net near that. One of the two dilemmas I'm going to mention, Nausicans, it's a no-brainer. 3 Nausicans pick a fight, 1 away team member is killed, random, unless strength is greater than 44. That is huge, especially if your opponent is not playing Klingons or Romulans. or anyone, even Dominion, because they have high strength, but anything else, they're going to have problems. Maglock is a dilemma. To get past, crew must have at least 3 officers present with strength greater than 5. How many people beam down 3 officers with heavy attributes down to an away mission? If they're smart, hardly anybody. And finally, a lot of people do use this, but it's often overlooked in place of Kevin Uxbridge, Convergence, Q2, or cards like that. Of course, it is Countermanda. Nullifies telepathic alien kidnappers, or if opponent just played Rescue or Palertoff, suspend that action, look through opponent's discard pile, and put any 3 cards out of play. One of my favorite cards to this day, Countermanda. I still use it. It is huge. If you're not using it, sorry to say, you're dumb. Now, it's always been my opinion over the years, and this goes for a lot of CCGs, but more so with the Star Trek CCG, as even though expansions came out every so often and gave us new cards and new ways to play the game, I think a lot of people were too quick to get rid of some of the classic and easier cards to use, like the ones I've showed you today, that still work in any kind of deck today and work quite well. And I've started to put more thought back into this, and I'm going to be adding a lot of these cards that I don't have in decks back into decks. Because why the hell not? Seriously. That's all for today. Have a great day, everybody.